Today, Warhammer community has announced another couple of boxed games for Warhammer 40K. They're both fairly small board games, but they do come with a fair few miniatures, so let's take a look. Hello and welcome back to Auspex Tactics, where today we're just taking a look at a couple of new upcoming Games Workshop releases, billed to be out sometime later this year. There's a hex-based squad command game called Warhammer 40K Fireteam, which seems to pit some assault intercessors versus some Necrons, and then another update in the Space Marine Adventures series, which is called Doomsday Countdown, and has a few intercessors versus Chaos Cultists. I think it is generally worth keeping an eye on releases like this. Sometimes they can be a fairly reasonable deal just literally for the miniatures inside, and the extra bits that you actually get to play the game are sort of an extra. If you wind up using them, then all well and good, but if not, then it's no massive loss. So the first one is this Warhammer 40K Fireteam, which doesn't seem to have any sort of direct equivalent to ones that they've had previously, though it does seem to have quite a lot of similarities with lots of previous game releases. It looks like it's a hex-based squad command game, where you take command of a squad of either 5 assault intercessors, or 10 Necrons and 3 Scarab Swarms. It's a fairly decent amount of miniatures there, but you can get both of these kits for really quite cheap already in the Recruit box set. You get the Primaris Lieutenant and the Necron Royal Warden in there, and I'd be kind of surprised if this box goes for less than those kits do. I believe with these more sort of board games than box games, they don't actually tend to be available directly through Games Workshop themselves, but instead they go through more sort of traditional board game retailers. That means they might not be quite as universally available, and availability might also depend on what country you're in. So perhaps not the most enormously helpful for picking up miniatures, but depending on the price I could potentially see this as an alternative to the Recruit box set, particularly if you've already got one of those sets and you might like to have a mini board game instead of having another copy of the Lieutenant or Royal Warden. The other board game that they've teased is a game called Space Marine Adventures Doomsday Countdown. This one's following reasonably hot on the heels of the Labyrinth of the Necrons box. I believe that one costing you around about $32 or £30 depending on where you buy them from. That box was a bit different. It gave you 5 Space Marine intercessors fighting against Necrons that were represented by counters, but on this one the bad guys actually have their own miniatures as well. You get 3 of the easy build intercessors and they fight off against 7 Chaos Cultists. The Cultists are perhaps the more interesting of the two, as they're actually some of those Cultists of the Abyss box from the Blackstone Fortress box set. I think you get 7 of them, and it looks like the only one that is missing is the one with that massive flamethrower, which is kind of a shame as he was quite cool. Still though, that's the best part of a £15 or $25 kit, plus those 3 intercessors. From the description, in terms of the actual gameplay, it sounds like it's a co-op game. You each take command of one of those intercessors, and you have to fight off the Chaos Cultists who act as NPCs. The aim sounds like it's going to be to defuse a bomb, hence the Doomsday Countdown. Honestly, I'd be surprised if this was any less than the previous Space Marine Heroes box, particularly as you get quite a few more miniatures, so I think it is unlikely to be worth it for the miniatures alone. You would have to get some value out of the game itself to be worth getting. I feel like with both of these, Games Workshop is sort of going for gateway games to 40k. Small standalone fun little boxes that could allow you to get into the hobby, without necessarily having to take on everything that is getting a 40k army all at once. Maybe could get people interested, particularly some younger players perhaps, and maybe some might go on to collect a fully fledged 40k army at some point in the future. So in any case, I think they're both fun little releases. I'm not sure I'd be looking to pick up either of them myself, but if you did happen to want some of the miniatures, then getting a little board game thrown in alongside them really isn't so bad, could certainly justify a little bit extra in price. Look forward to hearing what you think down in the comments below. Feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics if you'd like to keep up with other 40k releases as they come out. And I'll hope to see you guys in the next video. Thanks very much for listening.